the clock is ticking on Capitol Hill because, barring any last-minute changes, lawmakers are scheduled to break for their traditional August recess even before August on Thursday night. There's still plenty left on the docket, including ongoing hang-ups over the bill that sets Pentagon policy. Dozens of nominees have yet to be confirmed by the Senate. There's other issues regarding the FAA and other must-pass legislation. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now from Capitol Hill, where he is tracking all of it. Scott, good to see you. Perhaps the most pressing matter, at least for the Senate this week, is that bill regarding Pentagon policy. They call it the NDAA up on Capitol Hill, not to be confused with the Collegiate Athletic Association. But tell us what's at stake there, what's in it, and why the Senate wants to get it done before they leave.
And nobody in human history, or very few people in human history, have ever used the phrase, man, this summer's just dragging. It's going so slow. Summers and summer vacations go by in a blink, which means the Senate's going to have to move on this so-called NDAA, National Defense Authorization. It's something that Congress must pass, one of those few things that has to get done. The U.S. House passed its bill earlier this summer, but they larded it up with some controversial language, including some restrictions on some abortion-related services for service members. And also, they put in end dates to some diversity and inclusion programs. The Senate's not going to do that, Ed. They're going to put in more granular, practical legislation that can get bipartisan support, that can see an end date to the debate. I expect there to be debate this week over amendments to add funding for mammograms for service women, adding funding or adding language that would help preclude the U.S. from using Chinese-made drones. More bipartisan flavor to the Senate bill, but really them passing this week could be the least of the issues. First of all, there's an absence this week. Dick Durbin of Illinois is out of here with COVID-related symptoms or a COVID diagnosis. And Ed, the Senate and House have to get on the same page. And right now they're speaking different languages on something they both must agree on, and Ed, something they both must pass.
Yeah. Do we have any sense if this week's floor debate on the bill is a way to end Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville's ongoing hold or blockade, if you will, to at least slow down the confirmation of hundreds of military promotions?
There's going to be an awful lot of talk about that this week. Spot on, Ed, but there's no end date. There's no off-ramp to what Tommy Tuberville is doing, and that's what his fellow Republicans are saying, that he has put himself in a blockade position, stopping the quick confirmation or quick Senate approval of these appointments and these military promotions. And he has told me in so many words, the only way he'll yield his position is if the Pentagon ends its policy to pay for travel and for time off for service members who seek to move out of state to get abortion services. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground, which means this week will not end the standoff, though this week will feature a lot of discussion and debate about the standoff.
Right. And of course, that policy exists because of what happened with abortion policy, but no plans yet to hold an up or down vote on his proposal, right? And even then, he might still keep those holds in place.
And he's insisting that it's the minority right he's utilizing. The only right the minority has in the Senate, according to Tommy Tuberville, is the ability to change things like this, to put a hold on confirmations, to put a hold on appointments, to put a hold on what the majority is trying to do. And to a degree, in a simple way, he's right about that. But it's also a message he's trying to send, Ed, that he is going to be firm on this. His opponents will say intransigent on this. He's not going to yield until the Pentagon does, and there's no indication that's going to happen, certainly not anytime soon.
It's a reminder, senators do have the power to say no or to slow things down, and as he says, he's slowing it down, whether the rest of his colleagues like it or not. The other thing you track for us, of course, is the ongoing legal trouble for former President Donald Trump. It is a Monday. Remind us where things may head this week in the myriad cases facing him.
If there's going to be an indictment here in Washington, D.C. on the special counsel's January 6th investigation, it could come as early as tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, when the grand jury is here in the courthouse. The January 6th grand jury tends to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Ed, and the magistrate judge tends to sit at 1 p.m. Eastern time to hear his or her caseload. That's the soonest it could happen, but there's certainly no date on the calendar that's a date certain. There's no indictment that is certain. All we can say is the target letter that Trump acknowledged and announced and that we have confirmed is an indication a federal prosecution is likely, if not imminent. You want to measure this by days and weeks, not by months and years.
So if you're one that's inclined to track this stuff closely, 1 p.m. Eastern Tuesday, mark your calendars, hit the refresh, or tune in here, and we'll let you know what the judge decides if they're in court to do so. Scott MacFarlane on Capitol Hill, tracking all things Congress and Mr. Trump's legal issues. We thank you.